Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I want to give you an update on the whole DECA and Embracer situation that has been impacting Cryptic Studios and Star Trek Online for the past couple of months. As always, chapters are listed down below. First up, I want to recap what exactly has happened with Embracer Group that led to the current situation for Cryptic and Star Trek Online. So Embracer Group is a large Swedish video game and media holding company, and from 2019 up through 2022, they went on a buying spree and bought up a ton of different game studios and rights to various IPs like Lord of the Rings. And the reason they were going so crazy with all these purchases to the point where they had 129 internal game development studios as of September of 2023, the reason that they went on this buying spree is because they were under an assumption that they were going to be getting a $2 billion investment from Savvy Games Group. But that deal never happened, and when that deal fell apart, they basically had already spent the money before they even had it. So they had quite a bit of debt. They started closing some of the studios like Volition, Free Radical Design. They started canceling some of the unreleased games that were in development from various studios, including the one that Cryptic was working on. And then they had a bunch of layoffs hit all of the studios that they own. And Cryptic was, of course, one of the companies impacted by that. And alongside Cryptic having their unreleased project canceled and all the people working on it laid off, we've also seen that Embracer moved Cryptic out from under Gearbox over to DECA Games. DECA is another branch of Embracer, so at the end of the day, Cryptic and Star Trek Online are still owned by the same people. Now, the assumption was that Cryptic would remain independent under DECA Games, like they have with the other publishers they've been under, but that's not what we're seeing. Instead, we're seeing exactly what DECA advertises on their website, where it says, quote, "We take over and reinvigorate games as they age or when their original developer can no longer support them," end quote. And that is why you see so many people on the STO and Neverwinter teams posting that they're open to opportunities elsewhere. It's why you see various people up and down at the company trying to help each other find positions at other companies, because the folks at Cryptic know that this is the end of Cryptic. DECA is going to merge Cryptic into DECA Games, and they are going to take over development of Cryptic's titles. And we're starting to see this. Just earlier this month, Flo here, who previously worked on Star Trek Infinite, posted on LinkedIn that they're starting as a narrative designer at DECA Games to work on Star Trek Online and Neverwinter. So again, that is someone working on STO and Neverwinter that's working at DECA Games, not Cryptic. And DECA Games had a ton of other job postings that are no longer on their website that looked like they were related to Cryptic's titles. So the writing's on the wall. Cryptic is going to be merged into DECA Games. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. At this point, it's just a matter of when, which you can see with some of the departures that we've seen and that we are going to see moving forward. So a big one that recently happened was Al Rivera. Al Rivera was the first employee at Cryptic to work on Star Trek Online, and he was the lead designer from January of 2008 up through January of 2021, at which point he became the creative director of STO, and that is a role that he served in up through earlier this month of February of 2024, at which point he then moved over to Daybreak to become the creative director for DC Universe Online. So this is someone who I believe at one point said that they wanted to retire on Star Trek Online, and he worked at Cryptic for just under 21 years. And, again, I think someone like Al would have stayed there if we didn't see the Embracer and DECA thing happen last year. Again, 21 years. And we're going to continue to see some senior folks on the team leave as time goes on. Another big one that we're bound to see here soon is Thomas. Thomas posted 9 hours ago that he's now looking for his next opportunity as an art director or art manager in games. He is still working on Star Trek Online, but he is now taking steps to plan for the next chapter of his career. Again, you see very high-ranking members within the Cryptic team, like Al and Thomas, departing or looking to depart the company, and it's a clear indicator that the future of Cryptic Studios is bleak. That's really all there is to it. Like, they can see the writings on the wall. They know that Cryptic is being absorbed into DECA and that DECA is taking things over. So what does this all mean exactly for the future of Star Trek Online? Star Trek Online's not going anywhere. The fact is, the developers that have worked on it for the past 14 years are unfortunately going to be moving on to other opportunities, which means that there is going to be a huge loss of institutional knowledge about how the game and the code for it all works. But the game is still going to be around. We know that before Our Vera left, that he left very detailed documentation on how the story is going to continue. We know that DECA was hiring a ton of positions to work on Cryptic's games, including a narrative person to continue working on the storyline. And we know that most of the Cryptic people are still there. You know, Jonathan's still there. As Thomas said in his post, he is still there. Most of the people that have worked on STO for the past 10 plus years are still working there. Over time, you are going to see that people move on to other opportunities, and I don't blame them at all for that. I wish them the best of luck there. But over time, you're going to see people filter out to other opportunities and new people step in to take their place. You know, time will tell how things go, but we are in a transitory period right now, and we are seeing the game struggle a little bit because of it. The recent 14th anniversary event honestly was one of the rougher releases in recent times. The server performance since the start of the 14th event has been abysmally bad. There was a lot of issues with some of the new content they put in, and the server performance is the big one. You know, DECA's done some interesting things so far, like boosting up the event campaign rewards, and I know they're going to continue to focus on making new content, but none of that new content, none of the new ships, none of the new items for us to pick up, none of that matters if the game is this rough to play, especially when you get to an endgame level, when the server is this bad. None of that new stuff matters if we can't actually play the game. And on top of that, for a lot of the new things that they have put in since the 14th anniversary event, a lot of it's been really buggy. You know, we're still dealing with a lot of issues with the Awani. The last generation bridge officer abilities have had their own set of issues. I know Organic Nebula has been fixed internally, thankfully, but malicious AI, that's been out like a month now, and that's pretty much destroyed PvP because you can entirely lock someone out of their trays, and there's no way to fully counter it. So, you know, there's potential for the game, but you know, regardless if it's Cryptic or DECA working on it right now, none of the new stuff they come out with is going to matter if this is the gameplay experience. So whoever's making the decisions over there, get this lag issue sorted out. We'll focus on testing the new stuff a bit more thoroughly, because it seems like some of the new stuff, the only reason it launched in the broken state is because it was tested on its own. You know, maybe not with other abilities on the build. Like the Pavo 3-piece, as soon as you put that on, it sets everything on your build to 50% cooldown. If there was anything else on the build, that should have been detected. So there's, regardless of what happens, of, you know, who's developing the game, the game has a lot of potential. The game's going to be around a long time. But again, the server performance issues, none of that's going to matter if the game is in this state. And to wrap things up, to anyone from Cryptic listening, you know, I'm sorry you guys are in this situation in the first place. Embracer screwed up. Corporations suck. You guys shouldn't be suffering for their mistake. And I do wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And for everyone else, you know, again, I don't think STO's going anywhere. Where the game is financially doing well. It's going to be around for a very long time, but they do very much need to get these server issues resolved, because it's not good for a game to have worse performance the further you get into it. That's just not great for longevity. So hopefully they get issues sorted out, focus a bit more resources on it. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, and thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.